Over the years, MMOs have definitely spoiled us with the amount of things that you can do in them, whether it's the immense of crafting systems, high seas combat, tackling open world bosses, or even grinding it out in dungeons. There's just something magical about this type of game. And today, we are going to be talking about 5 upcoming games that we are excited about. Now, I want to start this list off with Pax Dai. This game came out of nowhere 7 months ago, dropping a trailer that looked amazing in the graphics department. But where the game really seemed to separate itself from all the others was all the features they were boasting, some of which included building in an open world where players could not only build a house, but a whole village together, as there will be no NPC villages, quest givers, or vendors. Then there's the unique questing system. As there would be no NPCs, quests would instead be obtained from notes you find while exploring or artifacts you research, which sounds like it's geared towards a very niche audience. Next up is the dungeon system, as they opted to forgo the instance-based dungeons used by most MMOs and are giving us open world dungeons. This has me interested to see how they will keep these from being abused once the servers have thousands of players in the game. The final thing I want to talk about is the class system. When you go to create a character, you're going to notice there's no option to choose a class in this game. And the reason is because your class is determined based on the gear you equip, meaning you're free to change your gear and class at any point, with the only drawback being your lack of proficiency. All in all, this game sounds great on paper and it does look good, but I'm just afraid that without the NPC villages or people to give me quests, that the player base won't show up for it, thus making the world smaller too. Officially, this game does not have a release date yet, but they are getting ready to go into an alpha, so if it sounds like something you are interested in trying, you can head on over to their website and sign up for that.
Our guiding star has shattered.
Next up on this list is a game that has had a lot of news concerning it. Most of it bad in the beginning, but the dev team behind Throne and Liberty has done so much to address these issues, including pushing back the launch to make sure that they get those initial concerns covered. For example, originally this game used to feature an autoplay system where it could literally play itself while you were away, which was supposed to help diminish the gap between hardcore and casual players. However, that system has since been removed. Getting into some of the gameplay aspects, this is a fully open world MMO that features action-based combat with multi-weapons. You will be able to seamlessly swap between the 2 weapons during combat to maximize your combos. If you've played New World, you would understand this type of system. For those who are interested in large-scale content, this game offers a variety such as territory wars, guild wars, and world bosses, so there's going to be ample opportunity for you to join in on some of the massive raid content. There's also small-scale content like instance-based dungeons that are for those looking for small group play. As for the current monetization of this game, well, they haven't really said yet, so it's very up in the air and we're just going to have to see how it rolls out in the future. Recently, this game did just finish up a technical test, and based off the comments, it seems like it was pretty well received. They are going to be doing a launching showcase on November 2nd, if you guys are interested in checking it out.
Our world. Regnus.
Moving on to the next game on this list is Blue Protocol, which has already released in Japan, and it is a Japanese art-styled MMO with action-based combat. This is another classless game where your skills are dependent on the weapon you're currently utilizing, meaning you will only need one character to play any class. The map in this game is broke into 4 separate zones for you to explore in 2 major cities, meaning that it's not going to be a truly open world game. Some of the features this game does offer is world item grinding, instant-based dungeons, and a very in-depth crafting and enhancing system to maximize your overall gear progression. The feedback of the game so far is mostly negative for issues such as lacking content and nerfing powerful builds. Another big concern Westerners are having with this game is seeing the changes that Amazon is making, as they're trying to make it what they feel more appropriate for the Western audience. We don't know what all this entails yet, as it hasn't been released outside of Japan, so we'll just have to wait and see what it's like. As for the monetization system, if you like purchasing cosmetics, unfortunately, they're going to be locked behind a gacha system. On top of that, the Battle Pass system is going to offer pretty much nothing to those that are going to be playing for free. I'm personally looking forward to trying the game at least, because it takes me back to some of the first MMOs I ever started playing, like Fiesta or Florenzia, and if I can just capture some of that feel again, then it'll be worth the time seek. If you're interested, it's coming out sometime in 2024. Coming up next is Archage 2, that is hoping to reignite the fan base's passion that the original lost. Now, I'm not going to lie, I am super excited to play this game, but I have this feeling that that's not going to last. If you played the original, then you know what I'm saying, because Archage was such an amazing game, and it brought loads of content in an organic way. Everything from the housing system to the naval combat down to the open world bosses and instant-based dungeons. This game had it all and was unfortunately run into the ground due to bad practices on the management end. On the bright side, it's now under new management with the new property holder being Cacao Games. Cacao Games. Currently, all we have seen is one trailer, and it appears to be keeping true to the original theme. Now, it was mostly just cinematics with what appeared to be some gameplay footage that showcased trade runs, naval ships, and beautiful landscape tuned into the original Archage soundtrack, just to play off that nostalgia feeling. During the gameplay portion, one of the major changes appeared to be done to the combat system, as it looked like they have switched to action combat instead of tab targeting, and it seemed very similar to the likes of BDO. At this point, there's no real way to tell if it's pure action combat or a mix of tab target and action combat, so we'll just have to wait until something more official comes out. Will this game rekindle the lost love that we had for Archage, or will the bad monetization practices return and ruin it? I think it has this huge potential to do that and be one of the best MMOs, but it's hard to have that hope as well. We will have to wait and see, as it's slated to launch in 2024. Finally, the game that most are looking forward to right now is Ashes of Creation. If you haven't heard of this game, well, it's very similar to Archage, as it was spawned from the failure of Archage. The CEO of Intrepid Studios, which is the company behind Ashes of Creation, was a former player who decided to create his own game based off the passion he had for the game, just with some changes. One of the major differences is the lack of greedy monetization practices, as this game will run off a paid subscription with a cash shop offering only cosmetics that are bound on purchase. As for the content of this game, it'll feature a caravan system to trade goods for gold and naval ships for open seas combat. There's also a player housing system in the open world where you'll be able to add crafting stations and farms to perform all your daily tasks. For the combat, it's going to be a mix of tab targeting and action, so if you're a ranged player, you should have no issues locking onto a specific target. As for the classes in this game, they are made up by combining two archetypes. Your primary is the archetype you first choose, and it's permanent. The second archetype you will choose when you hit level 25, and this one may be changed, but just not on the fly. One of the bigger differences that separates this MMO from the other is the unique town system, where cities will rise and fall based off player choices. I'm really excited to get my hands on this one, as it's made by someone with a love for the MMO genre, and all the information we've seen so far has led to big expectations, and now we just have to sit back and wait for its release information. That wraps up this list. I would love to know in the comments down below which MMO you're most excited about, and if it's one you heard here on this list or somewhere else. For all things gaming related, be sure to subscribe, stay tuned, and thanks for watching, y'all.